Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the bet review show for UFC on ESPN 1. Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou. We're going to talk about our best bet play that was for purchase on Wagertalk. I did put in the description my write-up. Those that did make the purchase on Wagertalk, that's the write-up that they received prior to the fight. We'll also talk about our free play and our overall feeling on this card. This was another great card by ESPN. They've been doing their ESPN Plus shows, and they've really moved very smoothly. Always great the way that they're running these things, the last few events. This is another great event on their main platform, and just really great. I think they do a great job compared to what FS1 was doing. I think it runs a little bit more smoothly. Very excited to see the next one and see how that they continue to build up this ESPN platform and the partnership with the UFC. So we will first take a look at our best bet play. Now, our best bet play was on the main event between Cain Velasquez and Francis Ngannou. Our best bet play was on Francis Ngannou to defeat Cain Velasquez at plus 160. Great value there. We're going to get into what we liked and what we didn't like about Cain. And overall in this fight here, I mean, the big thing for me looking at Francis Ngannou was the fact that, I think he's elevating. But I think the other part and the big part of this is really what's going on with Cain Velasquez. Now, Cain Velasquez, over his last 3 fights, have spread over the last 5 years. And even looking at his 2.5-year layoff, to me, was just so important. That is just, I don't care what you're doing in your life. If you stop really doing it for 2.5 years, you're not going to be the same. And they always give, even with a lot of analysts, a guy's out for a year, and that's a lot. Guy's out a year and a half, that's a lot. Now you're talking 2.5 years. Although Cain is an elite fighter, he comes from one of the best camps in the world. There's a lot of great things to like about him. But a lot of the times where people are talking about Cain, it was a lot of things that he did years ago. And even when you look at the Travis Browne fight, his most recent fight at UFC 200, which I attended, and that fight there, even with that, Travis Browne was not doing well. He put on a nice performance. Travis Browne actually was landing some nice shots early in that fight. Cain was able to put him away in the first round. But Travis Browne is 1-5 out of his last 6. So it just shows that he's a very knockoutable kind of guy in Travis Browne. And then and that was 2.5 years ago. And then the fight just before that, it was around 2015. He fought Fabricio Verdum, and even the Verdum fight, although there people were saying that hey, maybe it was the altitude or wherever he was, the fact that he went into that fight against Verdum, looked like he was gassed, could not keep the pressure going. That was a big sign to me as well, taking a look at their last few fights. I did not like what I saw off of those 2 fights overall. And then the other one that you look back was 2013 against Junior Dos Santos, which looked like vintage. The normal Cain that we know, the guy that goes out there, can ground it out, grind it out, get close with him, take some shots, move forward, pressure. That was always been, and his cardio. That was a huge thing with Cain. Everyone talked about his pressure, his cardio. But you just saw the way that things were going in his life. I mean, they were talking about even the fact that he was talking about retirement. And there's a lot of that when you're 36 years old, you're talking about retirement, you've been out for 2.5 years. A lot of that I just didn't like against a guy that was minus 185 going into this fight. That to me was just too many question marks for a guy like Cain, who, again, comes from a great camp, great fighter, but I like what was going on with Francis Ngannou. I like the fact that what was going on with his career. Yes, he lost to Stipe in a mauling a couple fights ago, but prior to that, he knocked out 2 world champions, 2 ex-world champions in Alistair Overeem and Arlovski. So he knocked out 2 champions prior to this Stipe fight. He did not look good, and there was a lot of things going around that he was not training. All these things were coming out. Who knows if it's rumors or not rumors? But that next fight against Derrick Lewis, he looked terrible because he didn't throw a punch, and it was just in his own head. But I liked what I saw a lot when you take a look at what happened with Curtis Blaydes. Now, Curtis Blaydes, obviously this was another quick fight. He ended up knocking Curtis Blaydes out in 45 seconds. But his mind frame seemed to change. They talked about the fact that Francis really enjoyed grappling training now. He's really focusing on it. He says, yes, striking is my thing, but he has now fallen in love with grappling, which was such a big thing against him. And I thought that was something he was going to patch up. And yes, he did, he stuffed one of Cain's takedowns. It was kind of a sloppy takedown, but one of Cain's takedowns. And even with that, it just still shows that he had been absolutely entrenching himself with takedown defense. I think that is his weak spot, and if he's able to really patch that up, and you have to stand and bang with Francis Ngannou for 3-5 rounds, whatever it may be, that's going to be tough for anybody. If he could just stand upright, Francis is going to put your lights out. So in this fight here, when you take a look at what happened, I mean, right away, I'm going to be honest with you, I did not like the way that Cain looked. That made me feel even better. And a lot of people were even saying, too, Cain, he's not a cut fighter. He's not always in. He isn't. There's no doubt that he's not a guy that's going to be very leaned out, muscular. He's more of a big bone kind of guy with that strength. But I thought he looked worse. I thought, no doubt, he looked worse. I mean, I didn't see much definition in him at all. Again, I know that he's not, his physique is not what he goes after. That's not his thing. But I just thought he didn't look good. I thought he looked slow. Even in the cage, I didn't, even quickly, I didn't like what he was doing. He did he was doing some kicks. He wasn't really pushing forward. You could tell right away he was terrified of Francis Ngannou. And now the big question here everyone's talking about is, was it the knee that was blown out? Or was it this right hook? And without question, I rewatched it a few times. There's different angles on YouTube they're showing. Without question, it was the right hook. It was the right uppercut, I'm sorry. That landed, that buckled his legs, and it buckled both of his legs. I mean, you even saw both of his legs go out at the same time. And it just happened that his one leg was not sitting in the right spot when his whole body was going to the ground. So I didn't like what Cain said in the fact that, afterwards saying it, hey, maybe, it was my knee gave out. There was no way Cain was winning this fight. I'm sorry. I mean, you could do this fight 9 times out of 10 in the way that they are right now. I don't see Cain winning this fight. I think that at this point, his mindset doesn't seem like it's there. I think that overall, I don't think that he didn't even seem, I mean, Cain is obviously a very relaxed kind of guy, but for him to go out there and say it was the knee, the knee blowout is the reason why he lost it, I think is ridiculous. This fight here was absolutely Francis Ngannou. He was looking for the big shot. He landed the quick uppercut, stuffed one of Cain's takedowns, and I think that is really the biggest part of this story, is that he did beat him. He landed the big uppercut. He was able to put him away early, and that's something that I think that a lot of people, and I talked to some people on the channel under my prediction show. We have commenting during the event, and some of you guys really liked the over. Some people were really pushing for that over, saying, hey, over 1.5 rounds, getting plus money. This fight, to me, I like Francis Ngannou so much that I bet the knockout. I did not bet the over-under, but I was looking for betting the knockout at plus 190. I bet Francis Ngannou at plus 160. Really had everything covering him on all of my bets. Just really felt good about where he's headed. And again, now he's looking for what's going to be next. They're talking about DC is saying, hey, I can beat Francis. I think that's going to be a very exciting fight if they do that. I mean, obviously how monstrous Francis is and how unbelievably good Daniel Cormier has been. I think that would be a tremendous fight if they end up doing that. But overall, on our best bet play, we were once again able to hit the best bet play at plus 160 on Francis Ngannou. I think that he did a fantastic job. I really hope that they go out there, they have they go out there and they do this DC fight. I like the fact that, again, what Francis brings to the table, he looks like his mindset's there. I think overall his skill set is continuing to improve. He's no longer very big. He leaned out a little bit. I think that's going to help him with his cardio. Overall, I thought he looked great. Short fight, but again, Francis Ngannou obliterates Cain Velasquez in the main event. We were able to cash in there on our best bet play. And again, I thank everybody who did make the purchase on Wagertalk. There was one of the most amount of people that have purchased my pick. I appreciate everybody on Wagertalk that was on it. The people that were commenting on Twitter, having conversation with people in the comment section. Again, after every video, I continue the conversation down below in the comment section. We will do that on this video as well. So definitely hit the like button. You guys, again, help me grow this channel. I appreciate everybody that's supporting this channel, Wagertalk, and everything else in general. So the other one we're going to talk about is our free play. Our free play was on Ashley Evans Smith versus Angela Lee. This fight here, I mean, the plus 166 money was definitely, I thought, in my opinion, a good spot. This was going to be a 50-50 fight, and I think that getting plus money on a veteran coming up against somebody who really hasn't faced anybody was going to be a nice spot for Ashley Evans Smith. But boy, does she look slow. I mean, her punches are like pillows. She doesn't really land too much. Her cage movement is terrible. I thought that, I'm not really sure if I really liked what I saw with Bec Rawlings versus Ashley Evans Smith. I thought she pushed forward, had a nice combinations. Now I'm not sure if it's more Ashley Evans Smith in that fight that looked good, or it was how bad Beck Rollins really is overall. But she was completely outstruck throughout this fight. I mean, even early in this fight with Ashley Evans Smith, she had Lee's leg, and any wrestler at any point who have any kind of background know to sweep the leg or push forward, get on top, and there was multiple times in that first round she had some takedown opportunities. I'm not saying that she could have took Lee down, but she could have pushed it a little bit more and used her wrestling, and she did not at all. I mean, the second round she was able to get Lee down to the ground, but even there she kind of sloppy wrestling. She did not really do any of the things that a normal wrestler would do. So although she's a 4-time collegiate wrestler, and that was a big thing that I liked about her, that if she can kind of get close to Lee, Lee's got nice combinations, but get close to her, work her wrestling, work some combinations that I felt like she was elevating her striking, that would be something that would really work for here. It did not. I mean, there was no question that Ashley Evans Smith is at this point, she's kind of stuck in that same spot. You know, she looked like she was improving a little bit, and then she took a huge step backwards in this fight against somebody who, again, definitely is no slouch. I mean, Lee is no slouch, but the price tag on Smith, I liked it. I thought it was going to be a spot to get some plus money on. Lee gets the victory there. So overall, it was, again, we hit the best bet play. Like I always say, always on my plays, out of my allotted money, I do 75%, 80% on my best bet play. And the other ones, I'm looking to sprinkle on free plays, other plays that I do like. Did hit, as we talked about on the prediction show, Cynthia Calvillo. She was a plus money play, and again, it went from like minus 270 to, I think, at the time of the fight, it was like minus 360. So got a little bit good value on her. Didn't have a monster bet on her by any means, but I definitely had another bet on her that I parlayed with Ngannou. So it definitely helped me leverage some of those odds. If Evan Smith had hit, it would have been another monster night for me. It already was a monster night hitting the best bet play, but it would have really paid off if Smith came through there. So there you have it. Best bet play hits again, 69% last year on our best bet play, and we are continuing right through here right now on our best bet play in 2019, hitting a plus 116. Looking forward to the next event. The next event is, there is one that's coming up next weekend. I have quickly looked over it. I did not see much value. There's not many fights that I do like on that. So I will probably not have a show for the next event on ESPN Plus. But our next event is March 2nd, which there were so many great fights there and so many things I want to talk about for that March 2nd card of UFC 235 that I really want to spend the next 10 days focusing on that card, because I think there's just a lot of value there that I really want to talk about. I'm going to definitely give multiple free plays, not just talk about one there, look for some other ones, and I definitely want to talk more about some prop bets, see that there are some other over-unders or, particular ones that we've got there that I've been taking a look at, that there are some pretty intriguing ones that here and there I do, but I definitely want to talk more about that. So next week, there will be no best bet play, but we will go back on track March 2nd. Keep the fire going. We have been doing tremendous here in our best bet play, and I appreciate, again, all the support. And do not forget to subscribe and like. I appreciate, again, everybody who hits the thumbs up button. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show.